This topic comes from questions and sessions and things that we have with our twin flame clients. This is a common thing that we get asked, and also always from our own experience, because we've experienced a lot of us being jerks to each other and also seeing the other one as a jerk. So we're going to unpack all of that. We're going to talk about how that's played out a bit for us too. So this video is for you. Whether you're with your twin, whether you haven't seen him in 20 years, it doesn't matter, because any interaction that we have with our twin flame, we've got the energetic interaction, and then you've had some interaction likely on the 3D, and oftentimes there's hurt that's left over for that. So this will apply to couples that are together, couples that are separated, or having sporadic contact. This is for all of you. This is a common thread through all twin flame connections. So when I was first starting the twin flame journey this lifetime with Rémi, and in the bubbly-eyed goo-goo phase at the beginning, I was on Google, checking everything, and this program and that book and da-da-da. And one of the things that probably many of you have checked out Jenna Forrest's work, but I remember her saying part of what you're going to have to go through is your twin flame becoming a temporary monster. And I went, oh boy, it was the first inkling that I got that things weren't just going to be like my fantasy, right? Like we all start out with. We think our twin is going to be this perfect lover and etc. So when, in the beginning, all of that's real. In the beginning, when we have that first connection, we're really seeing them as a soul. And they're seeing us as a soul, and we're experiencing ourselves as our soul, as our essence. That's why things are so great. We're activated back into our soul consciousness. So that's the beginning of the twin flame journey. That's very real. That's who you actually really are. And when we do sessions and look into the Akashic records for you, that's what we see. Then, obviously, what happens is all the gunk comes up, and this is where the jerk stuff comes in. So part of our journey is to endure this process of the gunk coming up. You guys all probably know this. We're not telling you anything you don't know. We're just framing it. The first time that Rémi and I started having difficulties, we didn't know what was going on in a way. It was like everything was so great, and then all of a sudden I could feel this energy coming from him, and I was like, what is this? And then he, of course, could feel some coming from me, and we started to play with it and dance with it, and we came up with we'll talk about sub-personalities later, but we actually started naming some of these characters inside, and one of the first ones was, we named him Yosemite Sam. You know that character with the long mustache and the 6-shooters who's about this tall? And he's like, oh, what does he say? He calls them varmints.
I'm going to shoot you, you
I'm
varmint.
going to shoot you, you varmint. And we saw that we had that, and we were joking. We said, yeah, we take out our 6-shooter and start shooting at each other. So just pretend that all of you have a Yosemite Sam inside you, and so does your twin, and we'll be unpacking why and wherefore and what to do.
Okay, so part of it is the way we see our partner as well. So there's what they do. And then there's a dance in terms of the way I see my partner is, you're just like my mom, right? Or you're just like my ex-spouse, and I put so much energy into running the hell away from her. And then all of a sudden there you are again, the same character. Oh my God, let me out of here. So we need to work at clearing the energies for ourselves, obviously. And depending on where our twin's at, if they're willing and able to clear for themselves, then we do the dance with them. That's the ideal. But for a lot of twins and other soul connections, you're not together, so you can do it for them energetically.
So one way this plays out, and we're going to tell a little of our story, how this played out for us. Remember, in a twin flame connection, you're dealing with their soul, your soul, and then the subpersonalities, the wounds, the collective consciousness, the ancestral templates, all the other stuff. That's the stuff that needs to get dealt with in a twin flame connection. So we've got our souls, which are always in communion. They're like this all the time. And then we've got these other parts. So what can happen is you'll be experiencing them as two people. And that's what, or a variety of people. And that's what Rémi and I had. At the beginning, we were soul to soul. Things were great. Then we decided to make this move together. And I said, I'm coming. Yep, I'm coming. And I was ready. I was excited. I'm coming. And then wah, wah, wah. I didn't come. And looking back on it now, we see what was going on is that my soul was, raring to go, but I had these other parts of me that I hadn't dealt with yet. Totally unconscious. And I meant every word I said when I said, I'm coming to you. But there were parts of me that weren't ready, and there were parts of me that were stuck in the old template. And boy, was that a tough time for us. That really brought out the temporary monster. Rémi got pissed and started six-shootering me on a regular basis, and that made things much worse. So we're going to talk about that. And of course, we were totally unaware of what was going on. He's like, you told me you were ready. So what can happen with our twin is they'll say one thing, and they'll mean it, and then they'll do another. We see this all the time. I'm leaving my wife. I'm going to move. Or we've seen another variation of that where somebody moves to the twin and the twin says, well, I'm going to move away. So we're always dealing with this dance between the soul and the let's call it the lower parts. You want to talk about your side
Sure.
of it?
So what was happening to me is Jill said, okay, we agreed, we're coming together. So, and we were guided to go to this dinky little island, which is quite wonderful, but there's nothing there. So here I was in Vancouver, Canada. Jill was in Indiana, the USA, and so we're coming together, and we're guided to go to this little place so we can go purified. We go to a higher level, and we serve more broadly. So I gave up my practice in Vancouver, and I'm so looking forward to being with my treasure. Oh my God, it's so extremely exciting. So then she says, I'm not coming. So here I am sitting in this island that I don't want to be there whatsoever. The neighbors, I think by that point, they'd started pulling out the chainsaws and they were cutting down the trees. I was in a place of nightmare. I had nothing to do except with me and my belly button, right? All I had to do was to focus on myself and clear my issues. And I was so pissed. I don't know how long it lasted, but I think it was 2 months or something, where I was walking up and down and swearing at Jill and furious, so furious. and totally the feeling is you destroyed my life. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want anything to do with her. To hell with you.
Yeah.
So she's in the process of cleaning up and sending me love energy and forgiveness and compassion and blah, blah. And I'm in wandering up and down the road swearing. So gradually there's a calming that happened, and then we came together.
Yeah.
And so there were glitches and complications, but that's one aspect in terms of dance between, she saw me as a very yikesy character, I saw her as very yikesy. You're not reliable whatsoever, you don't love me enough, and so forth. So the freaking out is part of the gig in terms of all our layers, all our stuff comes up to the surface to be healed at that point. And then things go wonderful after that for a while, hopefully. And then more stuff comes up to the surface. Another glitch happens, and then guess what? More stuff comes up. You're not trustworthy, you're not talking to me clearly enough, you don't care about me. So all that gig is happening again. So you're an ogre, you don't love me, you're just like my mom or my ex or the devil, right? And so there's a going back and forth. So for those of you who are together as twin flames and other soul connections, it's really crucial to have the space so you don't stay together and go into major entanglements that get worse and worse. So you can be in separate rooms and so forth if that works for you, or you go for a walk for an hour. For those of you who are apart for a sizable chunk, it's important to test periodically in terms of the connection to see, as you do healing work, to see if it's ready to connect more fully. So there's a variety of things that get in the way. So for Jill and I, that was the physical union. And then, but for some people, it's because of addictions, or it's because of that ex over there. They're going back and forth to their ex, or they're still connected there. They're afraid of losing their kids. Mm-hmm. For some, my poor old pet can't be moved because it's so old, poor creature. So I got to stay here, and so there's fear energy. So part of the gig is to look more deeply and transform.
I want to say one thing about that, because oftentimes what we're actually afraid of isn't what we're telling the twin is the reason, right? So this is a really common one that we had, and we've also seen it all the time with our clients where the twin is saying, I'm afraid of my kids are going to hate me. But you look deeper and it's actually a whole big host of other things that are underneath there. So this doesn't make sense. You're going, why would your kids hate you? You know, we work with sometimes with people whose kids are in their 30s and they're still afraid. why would your kids hate you if you're being authentic and honest and et cetera, and blah, blah, but that's they're gonna hate me for sure, I can't come to you. But as you, and the twin is going, this makes no sense, but you gotta realize there's a lot of stuff under the surface that they're not aware of that's impacting them. So it's always the detective work when we're working with ourselves and our twins.